Thank you, Dan. For those that might not know me, I did not introduce myself. Hi, I'm Bruce Wooden, also known as Cymatic Bruce. Oh, do you need to go there? I'm co-founder of SVVR very early with AltSpace VR from the beginning, and general VR person. So I'm all over the place. And I also formerly worked at the Tech Museum here in San Jose, working on exhibit content and labs in the summer camps. The Tech Museum is an awesome partner, so I do encourage that if you're interested in to see Dan and follow it up, because it's a very cool opportunity not only to reach a broad demographic of people, but also to see what the heck they build that survives thousands of middle schoolers banging on it every week, which is fantastic. That's science, baby. Excellent. So next up, we actually have Dara Levert from HTC. He is going to be talking about the HTC SDK and the Unity game engine. So Dara, come on up. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you, Bruce. Hi, everyone. I'm Dario. And what I want to focus on is what's available for developers, specifically using Unity. Next. So, why Unity? Well, it's got that big market share. I'm hearing 90%. I don't know where that number actually came from. There's a lot of developer resources available. All the third parties, the major third parties, from Google and Microsoft, HTC, we're all using Unity internally for our own projects. But it shouldn't be exclusive just to Unity. Everyone should really give all the other third-party engines a chance next. So if you're just starting, just a show of hands, not that I can see it, maybe just say who's using Unity. Yeah. Yes, good. We're going through a transition from 5.3 to 5.4. Has anyone had any painful moments between that transition? Yes. If you notice, it's now 5.4.1 F1. They've included some fixes that I'm happy about. So again, you can actually develop on a Mac and like target Windows. Make sure you have Windows build support and install next. And you can actually just copy the executable onto a live pin. You can develop on a Mac, which I think is important to know. What's wrong here? Basically, you need to make sure you're in your build settings. You target PC, Mac, Linux, standalone. A lot of times, the web player will be by default, and you'll see all these compilation errors, and you won't know what it is until you go into here. Next. Okay, so we all know that SteamVR, Valve created this great Unity plugin. It's the basis for all other plugins. So it gets you started. They also have a second Unity plugin, Lab Renderer, which really gives you this adaptive quality feature, a lot of support for dynamic lighting, and so forth. It's what they use in Lab. So I highly recommend looking at that. Next. So we mentioned the changes with Unity 5.4 and why it's a little painful. There's a little confusion here. So now we have this virtual reality supported checkbox, which implies sort of that you may not need to install SteamVR, but you're going to target just headset, for example, not the controllers. It turns out you do still need to install the SteamVR plugin, not just for supporting controllers, but just to even get this OpenVR listed here. Next. And just simple 1, 2, 3 steps of getting started for those who've never used Unity. You drag and drop the camera rig from the SteamVR. Next. And you disable the other default camera you had in your scene. Next. And then step 3, you just run, and you'll see your controllers in the game view. And you know, that's great. Again, assuming you have HMD connected here. If you don't, just ways around it. Next. Some just general tips. I've talked about this in other talks over my blog, but basically, people don't realize you can actually get the actual render models for the controllers, but it's in the Steam client folders, not inside the plugin. Next. All right, so the holy grail, I think, for a lot of developers is to have one code base targeting all these different platforms. I have to promote this great talk from Alchemy concerning how they managed to abstract the input so they can build for the Vive, Oculus, and PlayStation VR. Highly recommend it. Long story short, is basically they have an internal framework that wraps everything. So that's what you have to look forward to, because it's going to be some time before, let's say, Unity supports it out of the box next. So traditionally, the input system from Unity is not really that configurable. There's, historically speaking, other popular input frameworks. They are working on a new input system. It's experimental, and they're doing it in the open, which is great. Next, that input system basically provides all these new features, but the roadmap is still unknown. I don't know if it'll make it to 5.5. Who knows? So there's promise, and it's extensible, so maybe they'll throw in VR support. Next. So in the meantime, a lot of things have been appearing on the asset store. So there's a number of Vive-specific input plugins. There's additional toolkits. A very popular one is VRTK. And so next, the R&D team at HTC, known henceforth as Vive Software, decided to also jump in and have our own Unity plugins, and that's what I'm here to talk about. I'm just curious, how many people have heard of these plugins before right now? All right, so this is why I'm here. So about a month ago, we have our own input utility. It really takes the pain out of dealing with the controllers. I'm going to step through it very quickly. There's this new one that was released like a week or two ago. Media Decoder allows you to do 360 videos very easily for the Vive. A lot of people have been asking for that. It's here, it's free. Next. So just to focus on the input plugin, this is essentially the feature set. It's got a lot of things that a lot of other plugins do, and there's pros and cons with each of the plugins. We have looked at the first initial set of plugins and we try to improve on that. Obviously, there's like I mentioned, the VRTK is very popular. So you can pick and choose, you can mix and match. Next. This is essentially the pain point with the Steam VR plugin. It's a great plugin, but you have to do a number of boilerplate code. You have to actually get a tracked object, make sure it's the right device, and then deal with the buttons and so forth. So here we have a much simpler API to do that. Basically, there's static functions on Vive input, and it's a lot cleaner. And again, I do note that other plugins have been doing something similar, but this is our approach. This is what we use in-house. So a lot of the tools and plugins we're using in-house, we decided to share, and in some cases we made and open source it. So this is out there now. You can start using it next. Here's some just little videos of it in action. So you can actually track you can get the pose, and you can actually track things. Next. And this is the other one, you can have a pose ease modifier, so actually there's a delay there as it tracks you. Next. We'll give you support for like 2D / 3D menu systems. So we have a ray tracking as well. So you can actually select things and so forth. Again, a lot of this API is a lot cleaner. Next. And this is a fun example. So you can actually grab things remotely, throw them, bring them up closer to you.